What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Elevation here with another episode of the JBP Elevated, where we speak on the Joe Budden podcast and all of his co-hosts on and off the pod. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Just got through listening to today's Patreon episode. Little pew, 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 pew. They ain't really send any shots. They ain't really divulge any new information. But I was able to piece some things together. I don't know if this is speculation. Actually, this is all the way speculation, conjecture. But I might have some factual, some type of basis behind it. But anyway, I think Flip is under a 360 deal. I think Flip's tax write-off in Joe's eyes, because he was paying for Flip's taxes, but it was a tax write-off to Joe. I think the 50 to 60K that Joe advanced to Flip was way worse than anything Flip could have ever imagined. You don't ever take advanced deals to anything. But before I continue with that, I do want to make the correlation, and I've already said in another video, that Joe is a music exec now. He saw all the foul things that were happening to him in the music exec business and learned from it, A, and B, started to apply it in a different field. I think he has Flip on the 360 deal, because Flip keeps talking about improper improv, but he's not excited. I don't know if y'all have studied Flip long enough to know when he's excited and when he's doing things to fulfill his contract. He said it. He said he's going to throw his shots at Joe, saying he's on a slave ship. Ha, 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 jokingly. But I don't think he's joking. And it really wasn't a joke when Joe came out and said that he has the merchandising behind improper improv. It's one thing when your show is signed there. It's another when the merchandising has to go through you. If we tour this show, and the real thing that I think is going to happen with this show, I think Joe is trying to develop a television production company. And the means of this is going to be the first podcast that's quote unquote syndicated. I understand it's coming out on YouTube and that this is the platform that it's on now. But what happens when Joe syndicates, and he's the first to syndicate a podcast underneath his network? I know this sounds like gibberish. I know it sounds like I'm talking crazy. But why is he not letting Flip go? Back a couple of months ago when I made those episodes about Flip getting fired, why didn't Joe get rid of Flip at that time? And then especially when Flip went on his grind on his own personal page and started putting out massive content, why didn't Joe let Flip go? And why is Joe letting it be known that he and Ian think Flip is on a Fire Me campaign? A lot of these jokes, I keep telling y'all, Joe tells people what he wants to tell them in the guise of a joke. But jokes can't be funny if 80% of it isn't true. Remember this. But anyway, Flip is frustrated now because he's starting to see what is actually happening. And I can kind of break it down even further. When Flip initially joined the JBP on his own personal page and for his brand, he wasn't doing skits anymore and he wasn't doing long form content because this is a new concept to Flip. He left his page dormant. And when Joe signed Flip initially, he said, yeah, I'll take care of that 50K, 60K, whatever it was that he owed the tax bureau. I'll take care of that with the premise of you coming back later on down the line. Joe, in essence, did what Master P did to 50 Cent. I'll take 4 shows up front, but I'm going to get those other 4 shows, because you owe me 8 in total. I'm going to get them other 4 shows later on down the line. That's what Joe is doing to Flip. So yes, Flip, I got you, bro. You having tax issues, and that's just a story that they told, so that's what I'm telling. But you got tax issues, that's no issue. I'm going to do what I need to do to get you on my network. And Flip heard that, and because the network was dormant at the time, he didn't think anything of it. Yeah, your network, yeah, I joined the pod, that's no biggie. Joined the pod, did what he needed to do, ran the numbers up. Still, to this day, because I was just looking at the numbers, and I'm seeing that Joe's averaging around 400 to 415,000 views per episode. And when Joe, Roy, and Maul were at their peak, they're at 500,000. So Flip absolutely came in and did what he needed to do. But when he went on his sabbatical and Joe suspended him, aka fired him, Flip showed his value, and Joe was like, oh, hell no, it's time to recoup on the rest of that deal. And now that Flip's value is up, y'all don't find it interesting or rather weird that Flip is begging, in essence, to go back to his own network now that he got it popping, but he can't leave just yet? Y'all don't find that rather weird? And not only can you not leave, you have to have your show here on my network. And you know, whenever Improv 2 comes out, you know who's not ever going to miss an episode outside of Flip? Parks. Why is Parks going to attend every episode? Because Parks is getting paid from the JBN because he has an equity stake with the JBN. I guarantee you, Parks will not miss an episode of Improper Improv. And we'll find that out because apparently he got the drop day and it's coming out on October 29th. So we got a whole bunch of things to look forward to. I think Joe knew all along that Flip was going to try to use his name recognition from being on the JBP and try to run off with it and get his own shit started again. But Joe saw the potential. He saw the 5-year, 10-year plan when Flip was only looking 2 years, 3 years down the line because he was in a pinch. I'm going to help you out now, but you're going to help me out later on down the line. See, here's one thing that people don't realize when you get money fronted to you. I'm just throwing out numbers because I honestly don't know how much Joe gave Flip or if that's a real thing as far as the taxes are concerned, but he absolutely got an advance because he's getting treated as such and we're seeing it right now. But here we go. Here's an explanation or example. If I have $500,000 or I need $500,000 and Joe just outright gives me $500,000, you think me returning $500,000 2 or 3 years later is going to be enough to suffice what it was that he did for me initially? No. And here's the caveat that people don't ever want to acknowledge, because every time you hear this, people will be like, oh, I paid him back. You did not have $500,000 when I gave it to you, and you were in a pinch or a bind that you needed that $500,000 right then and there. That act alone is where the interest comes into play. But instead of interest as far as you just paying me back outright, Flip, I'll give you $50K under 2 conditions. You come join my pod, and you have 1 to 3 future endeavors underneath my network, and I get 10%, 15%, whatever percent into perpetuity. How does that sound? But instead of getting percentages and contracts, they counted as points. They counted as they put different titles on it, so you don't actually understand what it is that they're saying to you. But I guarantee you, this is how Joe came at Flip. And since Flip was in a quote-unquote bind, and he knew his value, because he knows his value as far as what he can bring to the content game, he doesn't know the logistics and the business behind it until now. But this is 2 years ago, Flip. So he's going through all this, signing the paperwork, whoop-de-whoop. Joe noticed that he put Improper on the shelf. Flip, you need to build your cachet up, you need to get your own personal brand up, and you need to have more moments on the JBP. Flip literally did all 3. This is the re-up time, and Joe is the one cracking Flip over the head. Your brand is at an all-time high. Why can't you leave underneath my umbrella? How is it that you and I are literal peers in this YouTube sphere, and that's the biggest social media sphere to me, is the YouTube sphere. I'm at 1.4, you're at 1.2. How is it that I have you working underneath me? How is it that you weren't even in the millions when you came to the JBP, and now that you're at an all-time high, how is it that I still have you underneath my umbrella? Huh? 360, Joe saw all the foul and negative things that were happening in the music industry and started to apply it to his podcast. And Flip has it better, quote unquote, than all the other co-hosts, according to them. And they said it on the end of this Patreon episode that everybody's going to have something individually and on the JBP. To me, that means all of these niggas are going to have something underneath the JBN. Are they all going to have to fully give that shit over to the JBN. Do you think Flip wants to have improper improv too on JBN? Yes or no? Yes or no? And then we can end it at that. And without me going into further speculation, I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like the video if you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the page if you haven't yet. Y'all be safe, and I'll make sure I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.